You're listening to the Daily Sales Tips podcast, and I'm your host, Scott Ingram. Today's tip comes in the form of 2 clips from last week's epic episode 118 on the Sales Success Stories podcast featuring Jheryn Kenney, who's number 1 on the LinkedIn Sales Solutions team. Check this out.
That's such a good question because I think we often just move so fast that we don't really kind of just take time to hone in on what it is that's making a difference. I will say the first is that I'm a real human being, and I believe that everybody else in the world is a real human being. So often we get these reputations in sales of being sleazy and super pushy or phony, and I am just not. I am a real person, and I just know that no matter what level the stakeholder may be in, but they have life, worries, stressors. They have, children who break the rules and and challenge them or embarrass them in the store. They've been, heartbroken. Just everything about them is also a human, and they also have a job to do. So that's one thing, just being a human. 2 is I have a strength, some people call it a superpower, of discovering and or developing mobilizers. So I think it's easy to get caught off or kind of maybe feel like you're chasing the rabbit when people say the right things or give you buying signals. But really what I've seen, what's helped me succeed is just knowing who is actually going to get this done or who's going to be my partner and getting this done. I think a big part of that comes from understanding people, caring about people, but also understanding them and helping them to win. The third thing I would add is I have this deep-seated expectation of excellence from myself and the people around me. And when I say the people around me, it's more so of a belief in their excellence. And so I think that winning is an awesome output of being excellent. And that's whether that's me as an individual contributor to a particular deal, or if that's a team working together to do something amazing. But having that fierce belief that excellence is a requirement. It goes a long, long way. And some people call that grit, but it goes a long way. You could say both. And I realized I didn't even answer your other question about how I got to the top at LinkedIn. So right now, I was surprised actually to finish our last half at 150% to goal. I wasn't surprised by that, but I was surprised that I finished number 1, really just because there's so many good and talented people, so many just genuinely good people who care a lot. And I see how far that goes. So it was exciting. For me, I think it's all that I mentioned before, being human with my customers, finding mobilizers, helping them win, less focus on a deal getting done, but really focus on the impact, but not in a salesy way. I really think that salespeople are cheesy. And that probably sounds crazy coming from somebody who's been in sales for 20 years. I really, really do. I'm so turned off by salesy salespeople. And I find myself having to stop myself from correcting people or calling out what they did wrong when they're trying to sell me on something. Because I'm pretty easy to sell. And I want to buy, I want to support people, but I get annoyed when people do that cliche salesy stuff. So I think not doing that, finding the mobilizers, finding where the business is, because there's a lot out there. So finding the big wins, nothing really magical though, nothing really magical, but really just focusing on customers and also knowing my worth. And I don't mean me as an individual, but knowing my company's worth. And so it's become a bit more competitive than it once was, but I thrive on that. I'm totally okay with it. But I also don't take for granted. I think it's easy when you work in a space or you're familiar with a space, it's easy to forget how powerful what it is that you're bringing to the table is, and how meaningful the difference can be to that company, to that team, whatever it might be. But I think we get shy. I feel like we're extreme as salespeople. We're either crazy aggressive and cheesy, or we're super afraid and bashful. There is a place in between there. And I think that's the most authentic and genuine place. If it's true, it's not drinking the Kool-Aid. If it's true that this is going to be the impact to your company, then it's true. Don't back down from that. And when people challenge you, even the one who I was talking about earlier, the mobilizer, she tried to back down a little bit, and I called him out on, I challenged her on what I know to be true and the difference that we can make. Anyway, so that's it. You can tell I get excited about it.
We dig into all of this and more in the full interview. For the rest of Jheryn's episode on the Sales Success Stories podcast, well, hopefully you're already subscribed, but I'm guessing you're already in your podcast app. So just do a quick search, make sure you're subscribed, and that was episode 118. But of course, we'll have a link for you at DailySales.Tips/841 as well. Once you've downloaded that, be sure to come back tomorrow for another great sales tip. Thanks for listening.